Hi guys, welcome back to Nebula Fox Toy Reviews. It's the final video of 2024. It's sad that this year is coming to an end. But yes, final video of the year. It's not right at the end of the year because I want to take a couple of weeks off over Christmas. So there isn't going to be a video the Christmas week, and there also isn't going to be a video of the New Year's week. So that's 2 weeks I'm having off. The first video will be the first video of next year will be the second Wednesday of January. So the New Year's celebrations will have been and gone by then. But today's video is one that I did for the first time last year, and that is a convention roundup video. So this is going to be going over all of the cons that I went to this year, so the 2024 cons, and giving them a rank. Now, in last year's video, I listed off the conventions in order and then gave them a rank at the end. Whereas this year I'm doing it differently, and I'm actually going to tell you them go over them in the order that I rank them. So starting off with what I thought was the worst con of the year, going up to what I thought was the best con of the year. Now, it's because it's the last video of the year, I am wearing the Santa hat. I'm also only wearing one hand part because I have my notes on my iPad from each con, so I need a human hand to scroll through the iPad, and then I'll use a paw to do the talking with my hands. So anyway, let's continue. So I went to 8 conventions this year, which is a nice round number actually, because then I can have a bottom 4 and a top 4. And if I went to 10, I can have a bottom 5 and a top 5 sort of thing. So I went to 8 conventions, so it's nice that I can split it in half evenly with the worst 4 and the best 4. So, starting off at number 8 with the worst convention I went to. Now, I wrote this list last night. I put one convention in 8th place, and then as I was lying in bed, I was just like, you know what, I'm actually going to swap it. So position number 8 and position number 7 have swapped. So the new position number 8, so to me the worst convention of the year was Thought Bubble. Now, Thought Bubble was my final con of the year, and unfortunately it ended the con season on a massive negative. Not only was it incredibly crowded, I expect crowds at conventions, but I did not expect it to be a sardine tin 24/7. You had to go outside to get some air, basically. And normally at a convention you'll get sardine tin for maybe a couple of hours while everyone is excited to look at the stalls, and then once you've all calmed down, you've met up with friends, you've gone outside for air, you've gone over there to do TikToks, you go into panels. Usually after a couple of hours the sardine tin crowds calm down. It did not calm down at Thought Bubble. It was a sardine tin the entire time, and it was hell. For the time of the year as well, was it October or November? November. For the time of year that it was unbearably hot as well. I would have hated if that would have been a summer convention. Not to mention the incident. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I did that in the actual vlog. But the incident as well. But anyway, on the lighter side for that convention, I ended up going with Ash, Morgan and Thomas, so it was a full squad. And then later in the day we met up with Rezi, who is the newest member of the con squad. So once we were hanging out, we did some photo shoots, we did TikToks, we just basically acted stupid outside of the convention. That was fun. Being inside was not fun, but being outside was fun. Sort of. And then for the cosplay, I took Tatsu because it was a new convention, so I didn't really fancy taking Neb, so I didn't want to take something big. I wanted to take something small that was like normal clothes. So just because I wasn't prepared on how like what the vision, how much my vision would be affected in there and stuff like that. I am not attending that convention again. It was a mess. So yeah, I'm not going back to that con again. So number 7, which was originally number 8, but has moved up a spot. So Thought Bubble moved down a spot. This con has moved up a spot. It was Huddersfield Comic Con. Oh, Thought Bubble was in Harrogate, by the way. So it's Huddersfield Comic Con has got seventh place. Now last year, Huddersfield, so 2023, Huddersfield Comic Con was amazing. I ranked it really high up. I ranked it pretty high up on my list last year. So for it to go all the way to almost the bottom, it was originally at the bottom, just, it went downhill a lot. And I mean a lot. Last year, it was amazing. There was tons of stuff to do, lots of things to look at, lots of stalls. The guests were good, because we had Hacker, and I can't remember the guy who puppeteers him. And we had James McKenzie, so we had Raven. So we had some really good guests. And it was fun. This year, it was all on one level, so I'll give him that. All on one level, no stairs. Loved that. That was about all I loved. There was about a quarter of the amount of stalls that there were at last year's con. I didn't really pay attention to any of the guests, so nah. And it was just awful. It was round the back of, it was tucked around the back of its normal venue, so it's like it was forgotten about. And it just didn't feel like the con that I loved. It felt like this would have been an okay convention if it was the company's first time doing a convention. But it's not. They've been doing it for years, and it was just really disappointing. I went with Morgan and Thomas, and we met up with Resi later in the day. So hanging out with friends was good like that. I also ended up working with Trevor from the Fly With Me YouTube channel. I'll link that down in the description. He interviewed us for his vlog, so he interviewed us, and then he also filmed the cosplay competition, so he filmed our entries for that. So thank you for Trevor for that. That also, working with him doing his vlog and then, enjoying, working with him is what's bumped this convention up a spot to 7 rather than like keeping it at number 8. So pretty much the YouTubers there, I'm saying it, the YouTubers there made it jump up a rank. And for the cosplay that I took Corvus, my Raven, or Crow, whatever you want to call him, and Virgil from Devil May Cry 5. I sort of did a mix, like a hodgepodge of those two. So it was a fun cosplay. I loved the cosplay, but the convention itself was no. Next up, position number 6 was ToshoCon at Leeds Library. Now, this con was hyped up for me. I went with Ash, Morgan, Thomas, and Tavi. We met Tavi there. It was disappointing more because it was tiny over anything else. It had the usual things that a good convention would have. It had a deals hall, very small though. It had a stage where you could watch performances. It had a room off to the side where you could watch panels. It had a gaming area with modern and retro consoles. So it had the cosplay competition. So it had everything that bigger conventions have. And I will give them that. They managed to squeeze quite a lot into the space that they were given. But it was our first convention of the year, and we were just expecting more because of how much we'd been hyped up for it. We were expecting more. So we were, like I said, we were more disappointed with the size of it rather than what was there on offer. Cosplay wise, I couldn't really be bothered taking a proper cosplay, so I took Toothless. So, which is just a hat, wings, and a toothless tail, and I just wore normal clothes. I knew it was going to end up raining at some point, and it did. It absolutely pissed it down. So I'm glad I didn't take a proper cosplay like Neb, because Leeds is somewhere I could have easily taken Neb. But it was in February, and I didn't want to risk it with the rain. But, yeah, the gaming room was cool. But yeah, it was a start to the year on a negative, and then with Thought Bubble, we also ended it on a negative. But I enjoyed making TikToks and reels with my friends, and the library itself is a really good place for like some photography. So I'll give it that. The venue was pretty good. So number 5, the top of the lower 4 list. So number 5 was Huddersfield Get Your Geek On. This was a free convention that took place in Huddersfield Town Centre. It basically just took over the whole town centre with stuff scattered around. It was organised by The Bid, so, kudos to them for actually doing something like this to get people to go into the town centre. You could tell it was one of the first times that they did it without input. It was the first year they did it. They did sort of do it in coherence with Unleashed events, which back then were very problematic one. So the very first time, so the year before was pretty damn good, because as awful as Unleashed events were, they put on good conventions and they did it right. This year they took a step back in terms of making progress. The cosplay competition was held on the same stage as the wrestling, so you had basically people with disabilities or in big clunky cosplays having to climb into a wrestling ring and climb through the ropes around it, which didn't really work for a lot of people. I mean, people with disabilities had to stay on the floor, and it just didn't work. It really didn't work. I took Neb, so I was wearing this, and it took me about 5 attempts to get off the stage because my ears kept getting caught in the ropes. So it was just not fun. I went with Ash, Morgan, and Thomas. This convention is also where I met Rezi for the first time. We ended up going over and saying hi and getting a picture together because both furries. But then we just ended up getting swamped by members of the public wanting to take pictures of us. We were stood there for about an hour under the sun, dying of overheating. But we were still enjoying ourselves. It was obviously, because this one was a free event in the town centre, the normies obviously didn't really know what to make of cosplayers, so they were all just like, oh my god, what is that? I want a picture with it. So we just got swamped with people asking us for photos. It was amazing, but my god, did it get really hot. I have personally offered to give them advice for next year's con, because we do already have the date for the 2025 one thing, so they're now getting on with organising stuff for it. So I've put my name down to give them advice and help them organise things, because they did actually have a furry zone there this year, but it was shit. So I've offered my services as a furry and a cosplayer to sort of how they could make it better for fursuiters attending and cosplayers attending. So yeah, if this does actually happen, because it has been confirmed that they haven't forgotten, and starting some point in January they are going to start getting in contact with me, this is me going to be able to have a convention. Like, I'm going to be able to say I am actually tied to this convention. And that to me just feels really weird. It's weird. Morgan's already got a con tied to his name. He's got Japan Day because he was one of the judges for the cosplay competition. So this time I'm gonna have Huddersfield Get Your Geek On tied to my name. So yeah, it's gonna be weird, but it's gonna be good, I hope. Right, we're on to the top 4 now. So these are the 4 best cons of the year. So in 4th position we have HorrorCon at Magna in Sheffield. This was the 2nd con of the year, but the first big one, because ToshoCon was a disappointment. I went with Morgan and Thomas because I believe Ash was either on holiday or they were waiting for a concert or something. Ash was busy, so it was just me, Morgan and Thomas. I took Bucky, the burlap bull, so like the scarecrow bull, and he broke, and I still need to fix him. This con happened in May, and I still need to fix him. It's just a bit of hot glue that he needs. He's fine otherwise. Great con as usual. We did go to this con last year for the first time, and it was amazing. It was amazing again this year, but I feel like there was a lot more people there. There was a lot more people there, and it took a little bit longer for the crowds to disperse. But it was still good. You went outside and there was people smoking weed, so that was a bit of a downer for me, because it's like, I don't know, conventions are usually the one place I go where I don't smell that shit. I hate the smell. I mean, you do you if you smoke it, but keep it in your house, because it smells disgusting. But overall, great con. Last year it was the first con of the year because ToshoCon didn't exist. We didn't stay there for the whole time like we did the first time. We ended up going a bit earlier, so we went to Meadowhall for food and the gacha store. So, very good. I will be going back to this one again next year. Number 3, we've got con number 3, which was York Unleashed. Now, last year I said I was done with Unleashed cons because of the problems surrounding that convention, especially more so with the owner than anything else. The Unleashed changed hands, so the bad owner is no longer associated with it. It's an entirely new team. So I was like, right, I will give Unleashed another go. I've been asking friends who regularly attend Unleashed events, saying, you know, how do the cons under the new team differ from the old team? And they've been saying they're a whole lot better. So I was like, right, I'll attend one. So I chose York Summer Con. Now, the York Summer Con is Unleashed event's biggest convention of the year. So if you're only going to go to one, I definitely recommend the York one. And it was so much better. They didn't oversell the tickets. They didn't oversell tickets at all. So even at the busiest times, it didn't feel too crowded. You could always get to the store, unless it was one selling toys and you had kids swamping it, but eh. But yeah, you could always get to a stall to look at it. The staff there actually looked happy. So they got a whole new team. So the staff actually looked happy, like they actually wanted to be there and see the cosplays and all that kind of stuff. Like they actually wanted to be at a convention. They weren't just there because they were getting paid. And it was good. I went with Tavi. So yeah, I went with Tavi. I met him at York train station because we were coming from different directions. It was good. This is the first time I've been to a con with just him and none of the other like regular con squad members. So it was good to just hang out with him for the day, and really good. The cosplay I took was a generic like Jurassic Park scientist with my little T-Rex, baby T-Rex animatronic hand puppet, Junior, and it was great. I spent a lot of money because Rex's Reviews was there. Um, so yeah, I loved it, but my bank account didn't. I would like to go to this con again next year, but we'll see because for this year it was like a last minute sort of thing. But hopefully next year I might be able to go again. Now, second and first place, so this next one and number one, they could easily be flipped. I enjoyed both of these cons just as equally. So yeah, they could easily be flipped. In fact, I'm even tempted to say these ones are joint first. But just for writing this list, I did have to give them like a second place and first place. So the one I am going to put in second place is MegaCon in Manchester. This was my first. I did the full weekend. This was my first full weekend con since before COVID. I think 2018. It was either 18 or 19 was my last full weekend convention. So this is my this is my first one back in a long time. And my God, I cannot wait to do this convention again next year. We've already got the dates. I'm going to be booking the hotel next month. I've already got the dates set for having them off at work. I cannot wait to go to this convention again. I went with Ash and Tavi. I met some other people there. I ended up bumping into Rezi again with their new fursuit, so not the skull dog. And wow, I spent so much money because this convention is very, very centered on Artist Alley. So all of the independent artists that sell amazing fan art, amazing pins and key rings and stuff like that, art prints, homemade plushies, you name it. If you wanted it, it was there. I even found a stall selling NSFW art. So if you're that way inclined, there was that there as well. Just be prepared to have your ID. It was just, you had your usual, like, you had a stall selling the fake stuff and the scam like mystery bags and mystery boxes and stuff like that. But you're going to get those at big conventions like that. Overall, it was an amazing con. And as big as it was, it never got overcrowded. I was honestly surprised. I thought, because it was the same venue where the MCM Manchester was in, so I thought that place got packed. This is going to get packed. I'm going to be a sardine again. I was never a sardine in a tin. Never. It was amazing. I'm going back next year. When I went this year, I was William Afton on the Saturday. So we had like a little FNAF group for the Saturday, which was really good. And then for the Sunday, I was Snow in her cowboy outfit. So I was Cowboy Snow. And that was a ton of fun as well. I even ended up bumping into Neb's old owner. Unfortunately, I didn't have Neb with me because, first time going to a con, I left her at home. I will be taking Neb next year. So, yeah, it was just amazing. And I seriously can't wait to go back. So, anyway, this leaves it with first position, which, like I said, I could easily swap second and first around. So, in first place, I am putting RakuCon, which was also in Manchester. But like I said, RakuCon and MegaCon could easily flip, so I'm going to put them both at joint first. But RakuCon, my God, it was a full weekend con, but we only went for the Saturday. We're going again next year, and we're hopefully going to be doing the full weekend, because going for one day with the stuff that we were doing, we couldn't really fit it all in. It was panic mode, rushing mode when it came to us doing the stalls. It was the full squad, so it was me, Ash, Morgan and Thomas. I actually took Neb to RakuCon because this was the second time going, so I knew sort of the layout, so I felt like I could easily navigate with Neb on. And wow. We didn't really have time to fit everything in, like I said, because we had Ash and Morgan were both performing, like doing full performance slots. The three of us were doing a panel together, and then we also had the cosplay competition at the end of the day. So those 4 things meant we didn't really have enough time to look around the stalls, like in the dealer halls. So it meant some of them we had to skim over, which was unfortunate, which is why we want to do the full weekend next weekend. So we'll do panels, performances, and the cosplay competition on the Saturday, chill afterwards, and then also to have the Sunday for looking at the stalls and chilling and all that stuff. Oh, there was also a photography session on the Saturday as well, so that was also in there, eating away at our time to look at the stalls. We did manage to look at the stalls, but like I said, we were that strapped for time that we had to rush some of them. And it basically just made the entire day feel like it was an hour long. And we just didn't have time. So we want to go again next year for the full weekend and actually, spend time doing it. And actually also try the after party. I think we were on about trying the after party as well for RakuCon, but probably not staying that long because none of us really go out partying and drinking. So yeah. So that was, I can get rid of that now. That was my con ranking list, with Thought Bubble being the worst, and then RakuCon and MegaCon being joint first. I can't wait for the 2025 con season. I do believe I don't think ToshoCon's happening again. So I think HorrorCon is our first con of the 2025 con season. So the vlogs will be happening again, and I can't wait to vlog them. I can't wait for the cons again. But having a good few months away, so May being when it starts instead of February, is going to help my bank account recover. I spent a lot of money on conventions this year, and with MegaCon and RakuCon being like 2 weeks apart from each other, my bank account over the summer holidays is going to be dead. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I shall see you all in the next video, whatever it'll be. Bye!